We often remember retro games as looking better than they actually did, and there's a brilliant scientific reason for that. Your mind was the ultimate graphics card, filling in the blanks of every pixelated face and blurry horizon. Limited hardware didn't ruin immersion, it demanded it. Think about that for a second. Games running on less processing power than your microwave somehow managed to terrify you, move you, make you feel genuinely lost in another world. How? That's what we're going to figure out today. Right now, in 2026, you can look at a video game character's face and count individual pores. You can watch light scatter through their skin in real time. Every single hair strand is rendered separately, and somehow, it still doesn't feel as alive as a 3-polygon face from 1996. That sounds completely insane, but it's not. There's a concept in psychology called closure. It's the brain's tendency to automatically complete incomplete patterns. You see 3 dots arranged in a triangle, your brain connects them and sees a shape. You see a rough circle with a gap in it, your brain closes the gap. This isn't a flaw, it's one of your brain's most powerful instincts, and old games exploited it perfectly. Not on purpose at first, out of necessity. When a game couldn't render a detailed human face, your brain didn't register a failure. It saw a suggestion, a rough outline, and then it completed that outline using something more powerful than any graphics card. Your own memories, your own fears, your own mental image of what a face looks like. That NPC in the 1996 RPG didn't have a face. You gave them one. Low fidelity wasn't a barrier to entry, it was an invitation. The game was handing you a pencil and saying, "Help us finish this." And you did, every single time, without even realizing it. Let me tell you about one of the most accidental genius decisions in horror game history. The original Silent Hill had a draw distance problem. The PlayStation simply could not render a full environment at once. So the developers at Team Silent made a call. Instead of fighting that limitation, they leaned into it. They filled those invisible walls with fog. Thick, heavy, suffocating fog that just ended the world a few meters in front of you. And it worked. It worked terrifyingly well. Because here's the thing about the human brain. It is far more scared of what it cannot see than what it can. A monster you can fully observe loses half its power the moment you get a clear look. Your brain catalogs it, processes it, files it away, threat assessed. But a sound coming from somewhere inside that fog, your brain goes completely off the rails. It starts filling in the blank, and whatever it fills in is custom built from your own personal nightmare catalog. The technical limitation created the most perfect horror tool possible. This also works in reverse when it comes to character design. Modern horror games sometimes fall into the uncanny valley, that uncomfortable zone where a face is almost human enough to feel deeply wrong. But low-res games bypass this completely. Their characters' faces were too abstract to be wrong. They were just suggestions, rough outlines, so your brain projected onto them. The villain in that old JRPG, you probably made them scarier than the developers ever intended. Because your brain filled that blurry face with a version of threat that was personally calibrated to you. The developers didn't build the monster. They built the space where your monster would live. Here's something a lot of younger players have never experienced. Back in the 32-bit era, when you bought a game, the box wasn't packaging. It was part of the game. The instruction manual had fully illustrated character portraits, detailed world art, lore and backstory that didn't exist anywhere inside the actual game because the hardware couldn't show it to you. So they printed it, gave it to you, said read this before you play, and you would go through every single page, study every illustration, and then you'd boot the game up, and your brain would take that high-definition concept art and project it directly onto those blurry polygons. You'd see a rough gray figure and immediately think, that's the knight from page 7. I know exactly what he looks like. You weren't a passive observer of these games. You were a co-author. The game gave you the skeleton. You built the flesh. And this created something that high-fidelity gaming has genuinely struggled to replicate since: emotional ownership. You felt attached to those worlds and characters, partly because you had invested real mental effort into them. You had constructed them yourself, room by room, face by face. There's a part of your own imagination that lives inside those old save files. That's why so many people describe retro games as feeling more personal than modern ones. It's not just nostalgia, it's the literal fact that those games contained more of you. You left a piece of your imagination in there. Here's the uncomfortable modern truth. When you can see everything, there is nothing left to discover. The technical achievement of today's 8K textures is genuinely staggering. I'm not dismissing it, but there is a strange thing that happens when every single detail is accounted for. The world starts to feel finished, surveyed, known, like you've already seen all of it before you've even explored it. In the old days, textures would warp and shimmer as you moved through a space. It looked like a visual glitch, but that shimmering made the world feel alive, like it existed just beyond the edge of what you could see. Like it had depth and texture and substance that was barely out of reach. Modern textures don't shimmer, they sit perfectly still. They are exactly what they are, no more, no less. And there's something quietly sterile about that. Which is exactly why the lo-fi indie movement has been growing for over a decade now. Games like Dredge, Crow Country, Lunacid. These games are deliberately recreating the visual language of the PS1 era. Not because the developers couldn't make better-looking graphics, but because they understand what those limitations actually gave you. They are creating the gaps on purpose. They are handing you the pencil, because the smartest designers have figured out that your imagination is the most powerful coprocessor they have access to, and it is completely free. The most memorable gaming moments in history didn't happen on screen. They happened in the space between the screen and your imagination. That final boss you were terrified of before you even got to them. That character death that hit harder than anything you've seen in a photorealistic cutscene since. That moment when you turned a corner in an old dungeon and your stomach dropped, not because of what was there, but because of what wasn't. Those moments lived in you. You built them. The game just gave you the raw material. And as we move toward neural interfaces, fully immersive VR, and experiences that simulate every possible sensory detail, I think there's a lesson here we genuinely cannot afford to ignore. The instinct will always be to simulate more, to render everything, to close every gap and leave nothing undefined. But the second generation of gaming proved something that should give every future designer pause. The most powerful graphics processor ever built is the human mind, and unlike your GPU, it doesn't run better when you max out all the settings. It runs better when you trust it to do some of the work. The greatest achievement of those low-resolution, polygon-starved, fog-filled worlds wasn't despite their limitations. It was because of them. They didn't have the power to show you everything. So instead, they gave you just enough to dream, and you never forgot a single dream. If this video pulled up a specific game or a specific moment for you, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know which game lived more in your head than it did on screen. And if you want more videos like this, the subscribe button is right there. No pressure. But if you've made it this far, you're probably exactly who I'm making these for.